interviewing Patsie Frawley. Dr Patsie Frawley is currently undertaking research looking at what does it take for family and domestic violence services to be able to provide services effectively to women with disability. And my name's Keran Howe from Women with Disabilities Victoria. So Patsie, what have you found so far about the importance of research involving women with disabilities?
To start with, I think that as a researcher who's done work in disability for 20 odd years, for a research organisation like ANROS to actually have a research stream funded around disability was really important for us, because we were able to focus our attention on an area of research that we think is really important, but within the context of violence and abuse research. So it allowed us to come into that space and be able to put together a research project that we knew needed to be done, but that we wouldn't get up anywhere else. You would not get this kind of research funded probably within the more the other research areas that we look for funding for, like the Australian Research Council or NHMRC, nor have we been very successful getting this kind of research funded through disability funded research. So that's the first thing I'd like to say, is that is a great opportunity, and we have grabbed it with both hands and moved along with it. But we carry with that then within the whole ANROS research area the task of doing the research on disability, and that's absolutely fine in one sense, in that we can develop our research in that way, and we can develop a very strong message through our research. However, that idea that it's only part of one person's job or one group's job to do the research on disability is problematic.
Yeah. Are you finding that other research here is incorporating women with disabilities within it?
No, not that I know of, and I think it's a question that we have to ask. We're not hearing a lot through the research reports here about disability as an experience that people are finding when they're looking at Indigenous communities and violence and abuse, or immigrant. We have heard from Kathy Vaughan's work around in the Aspire project. She did talk about women with disabilities, but we would expect to hear how everybody's research is actually connecting with the question of disability.
Well, given that women with disabilities are at much higher risk than other women in general.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you would expect to see it in all of those areas of research. Whether it's just it's there and it's not being pulled up, and perhaps that's something for ANROS to think about, and particularly in planning for the next national plan, is to really pull up the issues around disability in all areas of research and violence. And I think in terms of including women with disabilities, either as research participants, but more importantly as research partners, as advisors to research. We do that. That's the way we do our research. We work in partnership.
We do.
We do, and that that for us is the way we work. If people started thinking about women with disabilities within their other areas of research, whether it be the rurality work or, as I said, the Indigenous groups or other areas, they may decide within their partnerships to bring in women with disabilities. The research says that collaboration with women with disabilities, disability organisations, cross-sector work is the only way that we truly get to the intersectional kind of message about violence and abuse, and about how disability is absolutely a part of that story.
And are you finding much evidence in the research so far around disability services and family domestic violence services working together?
We're finding some, and the reason why I think we're finding it is because our methodology was to look at family violence and sexual assault services and ask them the question, what are you doing already in working with the question of access and inclusion of women with disabilities? And so many of them responded to that by saying, well, we actually do have some involvement with a disability organisation, or we've got a woman with a disability on our board, we have regular meetings. It's practice that we're finding because these organisations have already moved on to there, that's right. Not enough at all. And particularly I think we're seeing it from the family violence services thinking about working with disability organisations to adapt their services, to be advised about how to do their work, but not the other way way around. We're not really seeing disability services reaching out into the family violence and sexual assault sector to say, how do we actually engage better with you so that our policies and practices are informed by family violence as well. Yeah.
So really we need policymakers to be talking together across those different portfolio areas. And we need disability services and family violence services at the local level to be working together.
Absolutely, so I'm interested in, Keran, your perspective too, because you're a research partner with us in this research, and we go cap in hand to organisations like yours and say we can't do it without you. It is about the nothing about us without us. It is about your expertise, your connections, your networks. But your work is advocacy and policy advocacy, and I'm just think it's important to think about and talk a little bit more about the contribution that you make and what can perhaps make that easier in research, particularly if we're advocating for everybody to include women with disabilities in the research. How could that happen?
Yeah, I think it's a really important point, and I think we do have to be resourced as advocacy services to be able to make a contribution, because it takes time, it takes work and thought, and we need to do it properly. And to do that, we need to be funded as part of research proposals and research programs. And I think this needs to be considered across a whole lot of different areas of research. Participatory research is clearly the way to go. So I think for organisations like ANROS, it's great that that's being recognised, but probably government needs to be able to provide the resources for advocacy organisations as an industry to be working alongside academia in research.
Yeah, and because I know that, if we were to look at the other areas for research funding, like, for example, the Australian Research Council, they have a linkage project, but that requires that partner organisations make a contribution, and beyond the in-kind contribution to a financial contribution, which is out of the reach, really.
That's right. It assumes quite affluent not-for-profits in the industry rather than the smaller advocacy organisations that are not funded to extend themselves to that extent.
And as a researcher, I know that I can't do my research well, I believe I can't, without that sort of collaboration and involvement. And resources are always thin, and the arguments you have to make to kind of shift those resources are often long and hard ones.
That's right.
Rather than recognising the very valuable, more than valuable, the sort of foundational contribution that you make. And it going beyond our own relationships with each other, like we kind of tend to always find each other within this sector and partner up and do this work together. But your organisation is a great resource way beyond the research I do, and that I know you've partnered with the Domestic Violence Service for that very important piece of research, Voices Against Violence.
The Office of the Public Advocate and DVRCV, and we've certainly partnered with Melbourne Uni. But yes, we do need to look at how we can better integrate that kind of model, I think, into broader research.
And particularly your connection with women with disabilities, your board, the model, the way that Women with Disabilities Victoria works is out to a large number of women with disabilities so that they can be a part of policy advocacy, training and research. Yet they can't do that without us being able to fund and support them through honorariums, taxi vouchers, meeting spaces. All of these things don't come without a cost.
No, that's right.
And there is an assumption, I think, that we're all sitting around with money. Universities actually don't have that kind of money. Advocacy organisations don't have that money. And individual women with disabilities definitely don't
have that money.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks, Patsie.
Thank you, Keran. Fantastic. Good on you. Thanks.